David Munoz Andrade is the Director General of the Energy Commission of the state of Baja California. He holds a degree in economics from the University of Essex, which is not in Mexico, and is a technical expert in wind energy. And I've just learned a new word, and that is energía eólica. Is that right? Eólica. 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 Okay, eólica, which I think is great. Do you know where the word comes from? The Greek god of wind, right, is, what's his name? Aeolos. Entonces, eólica. That's, what a great word. I love that. Okay, anyhow, David is a member of the American Economic Association and the International Association of Energy Economics, and he is now going to really dazzle us with his insights into clean energy. So, David, please.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro, for that great introduction. Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you to USAID as well for supporting this event and supporting other events as well. I mean, this is very good for Baja California and for California and for the objectives we share in regard to energy and other projects as well. So we're going to briefly talk about the electricity profile and perspectives in Baja California, and specifically brush through several private and public projects that are on the map within Baja California. The idea is for us to really just talk about the general aspects of these projects, and then go into a session of Q&A with Jeremy. So without further ado, we're going to start out with the northern Mexico, and it's, does this have a, yeah. So this is a graph of made by CFE's operations director, and it grossly just pinpoints the regions CFE operates in northern Mexico. Celaya, the Occidente, which is Jalisco, Nuevo León, Chihuahua, and Sonora. And as you can see, at least in the northern part, it's not just PE, which is external producers of power, private producers of power, that go into these regions. In the northern part, you do have ERCOT exporting or CFE importing power to Nuevo León. That's just for emergency purposes. Then you have Norte division, which is Chihuahua and part of Coahuila. You have as well some sort of import of power from ERCOT as well. In Sonora as well, not from ERCOT, but from the WECC as well, you have 0.6 megawatts of import of power, and this is just for emergency purposes. But in Baja California over here, you have that CFE exported some power to the WECC. Just to get an idea of what Baja California supplies to the California market sometimes, just to get this idea of 2010 July, this is zooming into, this is zooming into the Baja California area. So all these numbers, all these graphs, what it means is the different areas or generation areas within Baja California and how they dispatch power to the grid. So you have Rosarito over here with 1,200 megawatts of capacity and how it dispatches power in each one of their 6 units, 11 units, pardon. Then you have over here in Mexicali, you have Cerro Prieto geothermal facility and how it dispatches power to the grid. But over here in the northern part, you see two straight lines. This is the Mexicali Imperial Valley transmission tie. And this is the Otay San Miguel transmission tie here in San Diego County. And here you can see how in the Tijuana area, during the month of July of 2010, there was a net export of around 300 megawatts of power. And in the Mexicali area, a net import of over approximately 400 megawatts of power. So within the Baja California area, it's not just energy for emergency purposes, but it's actually a commercial operation. And it's an operation that leads and yields great opportunities for investment. And that's one of the main things we want to talk about today. And from these numbers, what we gather is that it's very dynamic. It has huge potential, not because of Baja California's own energy demand or electricity demand, but actually the differences of supply and demand, whether in Baja California or in California. And that difference is what pretty much yields that opportunity. For example, in Mexicali during the summer, they are going to need a lot of power. So, moving forward, this is the installed capacity in Baja California. This is for public service. And public service for Mexico is pretty much CFE's main and principal activity and business, its main business objective. And it's to supply a constant, high quality, cheap power to all consumers within Mexico. Other let's say, business structures within the electricity sector is to sell power to CFE or to export power or to self-supply power, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But this is public service. So this is the power CFE generates or purchases from independent producers like Energía Azteca right here to then transform, transmit, distribute, and sell off to consumers within Baja California. So here in Rosarito, it's a bit over 1,000 megawatts. Then you have Cerro Prieto, and Cerro Prieto has an installed capacity of 720 megawatts. However, only 570 are actually, let's say, generating of those 720 megawatts. Then you have this Energía Azteca, which is Intergen, right west of Mexicali, very close to Silicon border, actually. And they have an installed capacity of 1,100 megawatts. Of those 1,100 megawatts, they sell pretty much half of that capacity off to CFE. So CFE has a power purchase agreement with Energía Azteca for that capacity. And then aside from that, you have two very small-scale turbo gas facilities for emergency purposes. And other than that, what you have is Termoeléctrica de Mexicali, which has 625 megawatts of capacity, and they export 100% of their generation capacity into the California market. Aside from that, you have two small but yet significant, or policy-wise significant projects or generation plants. That's the Rumorosa 1 wind farm with 10 megawatts of capacity and the first grid-connected net metering project in Mexico that was 220 kilowatts of power. So in Baja California, you pretty much have all the different types of private and public activity in the generation of electricity. You have importers of power like Kenworth or Fevisa in Mexicali, which have import permits from the Federal Regulation Commission, and they purchase power from San Diego Gas and Electric at a certain hour during certain dates. You have power exporters like Sempra, Termoeléctrica de Mexicali, or Energía Azteca, which is also part of the Intergen group, that export power to the California market. And you have independent power producers like Intergen that have power purchase agreements with CFE. And you also have self-suppliers like the state of Baja California with the city of Mexicali. And you have the public service power plants. So in Baja California, in a way, you have pretty much the majority of the permits, the federal law and electricity permits in Mexico. Pretty much, I think the only one we don't have up till now is a cogen permits. Cogeneration permits, well, there's a big push forward cogen technology in Mexico by the Ministry of Energy, by CONUE, which is a National Energy Efficiency Commission, and the Federal Regulation Commission as well. They want to promote cogen plants. But up till now in Mexicali, there's none. There's some industries that are interested in this technology, but they have not invested yet in this. So, as I said, you have all these different types of projects and power generation facilities in Mexico and in Baja California specifically. You have Presidente Juárez in Rosarito, you have Cerro Prieto in Mexicali, and Intergen in Mexicali as well. So those are the three main sources of power for Baja California. Baja California is not connected to the Mexican national grid. It's connected to the Western Electricity Coordinating Council through those two ties, one in Imperial Valley, one here in Otay Mesa. And the system in Mexico, in Baja California, is greatly dependent on those two main sources or three main sources, specifically Rosarito and Mexicali. And the locations of these sources, well, in one case, it's site-specific for the geothermal capacity or potential that's in Mexicali. And the other in Rosarito, well, it used to be a fuel oil burning facility, but it has been successfully converted 100% to a combined cycle natural gas facility. The importance of this is that we are, right now, our only, let's say, base load power generation, the only one that doesn't depend on importing any types of fuels is pretty much Cerro Prieto, our geothermal facilities. The rest, we have to import natural gas through, for example, here in Energía Costa Azul. And then CFE purchases that gas and then burns it, combusts, and generates power. And that's pretty much it. So what type of energy security does Baja California have if it has to import most of its fuels to generate power? And it's not bad. It's just that let's say if it wouldn't have these transmission ties to California, what would happen? It would be, let's say, much less certain for large industrial consumers. Power would be, I guess, more expensive. The reliability of the network would be, in a way, well, less stable than it actually is. And it would have a lot of different consequences. And the thing is, that's where clean energy could actually tap into this relatively small market, but clean energy could, and it actually does, help Baja California's energy security. Mainly because, well, there are local sources of power. Geothermal, wind, solar, specifically. And there are other sources as well. So the idea for the government, for the state government at least, to promote the renewable energy sources or potential within Baja California, it's not just because it's good business. It's not just because we do have the potential, but it also has this strategic importance that there are all local resources. This doesn't mean that we're going to stop burning gas to generate power. We do need a safe, clean, baseload power to balance out our demand. This doesn't mean we're going to, because we have received those types of comments, that we're going to be 100% dependent on wind. But if we diversify or put policies in to diversify our energy mix, that's where it gets healthy, that's where it gets competitive, that's where we promote greater investments, that's where Baja California and California have more opportunities. So, well, Baja California, in a way, we are not as populated as many other states, Jalisco or Guanajuato or Veracruz, but it's a state that has been continuously growing for the past 20 or so years, 30 years, and right now it's been growing at 4.95%, at least not in population, but in energy consumption. So energy consumption related to economic activity and the demographics of Baja California is, let's say, a proxy. So if we count in all of the different renewable or clean energy potentials we have in Baja California, and we factor that in to Baja California's energy demand, the growth of energy consumption within Baja California, we still have a surplus of potential. Even with great energy demand or growth within the population. So in a way, we can't really consume all the energy we have, either wind or solar or geothermal, thermal, or any other potential. That surplus of potential yields, again, to opportunities in, well, specifically in the export market to California. And that's one of the business models that at least some of the business people here like to promote. These projects, let's say in solar, could yield great opportunities for investment. And this is not just for the private sector, but it also could yield important business opportunities for the public sector as well. Just to talk briefly about some of these projects, we're going to start out with CFE's 5 megawatt project. This is a technology demonstrative project that CFE is going to announce shortly. And this project is pretty much 5 megawatts with 4 different technologies that's going to be located specifically in CFE's geothermal fields. CFE purchases or has purchased hundreds of hectares in Mexicali specifically for the exploitation of the geothermal fields. And, well, it has hundreds of acres of available land that could, yield an opportunity for them to, purchase some solar technology, put it in, and put it into their public service grid. So right here, what we have is CFE trying to look at different technologies to see what is more, what yields the greatest opportunity for them specifically. So they're going to try 1.5 of crystalline silicon, 1.5 megawatts of thin film. Those are with one axis to rotate to the sun. With a 2-axis tracker, they're going to try 1 megawatts of crystalline silicon as well. And with 2-axis tracker, a 1 megawatt high concentrated PV system. So what does this mean for California? Well, within California, you have, well, many companies that both design, build, manufacture, not only the trackers, but also the cells, the concentrators, the mirrors. They process silicon, and they have developed many solar farms as well, and that's something Tim Olson here can vouch for that. Lots of projects, lots of work for Tim. Well, the site for this project is pretty much south of Mexicali. This is the city of Mexicali, and this is the Cerro Prieto geothermal facility. And they're just going to, take advantage of all this available land they have within the Cerro Prieto facility. And well, this is very, very important for the region because it's going to demonstrate which technology is better specifically for Baja California or for Mexicali, for the Mexicali atmosphere. Another very important project, this is a private project, the Baja Sun Energy Project. It's a venture with Arima Technology. That's a Taiwanese company, Silicon Board, represented here by DJ. I think he's going to talk to us in a little bit. And the construction company, Mais, and other partners within Mexico and the United States. The idea for this project is to both manufacture and develop high concentrated PV systems to both supply power to some off-takers within Mexico, within Baja California, but also to supply power and technology to the U.S. market. It's a over $500 million investment that these companies are going to put in the next following 5 to 10 years, or 5 years. Well, DJ will talk about that. And they're going to start out with a 10 megawatt project. This is to supply power to a Mexican off-taker. The potential for this project is, well, not only for to demonstrate the CPV technology, but also to manufacture this and at a very, very competitive price for both markets. In wind, what you have is, we'll start out with the Sempra project with Energía Sierra de Juárez. Just its first phase, it's a 156 megawatt project that's going to export power to the California market. This project has been in the works for the last couple of years, and it's been moving forward with its planning, pre-development, micrositing, and I think in early 2012 they're going to start construction. I don't know if someone's here from Sempra Generation, but well, maybe they'll talk a bit about this as well. You have Mexico Power Group, represented here by Mr. John Prock. They have a 72 megawatt self-supply power and a gross to 1,000 megawatts of project pipeline just within Baja California. Then you have Eólica San Matias. This is a small production permit. They already have a permit. They say, oh, those stars in Mexico Power Group and Eólica San Matias, those projects already have generation permits from the Mexican Federal Regulation Commission. And this Eólica San Matias, a 20 megawatt project, they already have a permit. They are moving forward with their own project, and it also yields opportunities for California, and I'm going to talk about that in a little while. Then you have CFE announcing in 2011 3 100 megawatt projects over 2013, 14, and 15 for public service through the IPP contracting model. So this is yet another opportunity for California, for the Baja California business and investment ventures. Then you have the Baja California state government also promoting a 50 megawatt self-supply project, which I'm going to talk about. Why is this important for this region? Well, you have projects not only selling power to the California market, but also to the Mexican market. But not only the investment in power generation specifically, and the price you can get off your off-taker through your IPP contracts or PPA contracts. But what you have is that, for example, Eólica San Matias. Eólica San Matias is projecting their 20 megawatt project with Clipper Liberty turbines. The Clipper Liberty turbines are manufactured in Iowa. I think it's Iowa, Tim, Jonathan? No. And they're off a, their corporate is in Santa Barbara, I think. They were just purchased by United Technologies. So this is an American company manufacturing American turbines, installing turbines within Mexico to sell off to the Mexican market. And the generators actually manufactured in Mexico. So they build the generator in Mexico, close to Mexico City, then they export it to Iowa, they integrate that to their turbine, then they re-import the turbine, the nacelle, the blades, the towers into Mexico. That's what's relevant. And this is just a 20 megawatt project. Let's say, for example, in Mexico Power Group's project, the first phase of 72 megawatts, but all their phases are projected with Gamesa technology. That's a Spanish company. And you would say, well, why is that important since it's a Spanish company? Well, Gamesa, for example, for the state government's 10 megawatt wind project, the turbines themselves are Gamesa as well. But the towers, the 78-meter high steel towers, were manufactured in Fontana, just east of LA. The blades from LM Glass Fiber were manufactured in Grand Forks, North Dakota, by a Danish company. And Gamesa has their manufacturing facilities in Pennsylvania. So for a 10 megawatt wind project, we had to source all these equipments from the U.S., and that's mainly because of logistics. CFE is going to publish their RFPs for these 300 megawatts. Where are they going to source the turbines? Where are the bidders? Where are these bidders going to source their turbines? That is a great opportunity for not only for investors in business here locally, but also for manufacturing on both sides of the border. That's what's relevant with these projects. Aside from this, CFE, or the Federal Regulation Commission, has published its call for the open season to develop the transmission of over approximately 500 megawatts of capacity. It would have a 400 kV power lines and the substation, and it would receive power to the substation in La Rumorosa at 115 kilovolts. This is just for local sourcing or local consumption of power, not for export. It will be approximately 86 kilometers, and it will require around $57 million in investment. Right now, this process has called a lot of attention of a lot of different players and developers within Baja California and within Mexico. The development of this power system, of this power line, would essentially permit approximately 500 megawatts of additional wind farms. So not only the wind farms themselves are an opportunity for investment, but also the transmission systems. In regard to our projects within the Baja California Energy Commission, we're trying to, we have looked at Mexican regulation, what can be done, what can't be done, analyzed all these different sources and how we can match it up to off-takers. One opportunity we see is for housing developers to self-supply their own power. Right here, we're talking about a 1 megawatt CPV power plant, which would essentially self-supply its power to public lighting for housing developers. The second wind farm, this is a approximately $100 million investment with under a public-private contracting model to self-supply power to public buildings within Baja California, hospitals, schools, jails, administration buildings, and so on. And this project has received grant support from USTDA, and we're working on that project. The small hydro, it's a $30 million investment. It's been on the works and on the table for some years now, and fortunately has been moving forward apparently, and well, it's under a self-supply scheme with the Water Commission within Baja California. Training sites, it's important not only for all this wind development, but also for the solar development to have trained technicians. So we're developing 2 small self-supply projects for one university in Tijuana and one university in Mexicali to train technicians with concentrated PV. For our rural communities, I don't know how many of you have visited the southern part of our state. It's great. You love it? Yeah? Love it. But you don't have power. And that's it limits not only tourism, but also production. Small fishermen, they really have a lot to lose without any power. So the idea is to develop microgrids for community energy services. And the idea is to use only locally sourced power, wind, solar, biogas, biomass, or whatever that specific community has available. We're putting this project forward with the call for projects from the Inter-American Development Bank and CENER. And finally, just to talk about the technicians, let's say all these 500 megawatts, let's say Mexico Power Group's 72 megawatts, or Sempra's 150 some megawatts of power, where are they going to get technicians to work on the turbines, to operate the machines, to work these projects? Currently, these 7 universities within Baja California have approximately 116 different academic programs. Related programs, let's say chemistry, electronics, electricity, mechanics, there's only 48 programs. And 7 academic programs have direct link to clean technology, whether renewable energy or environmental sciences related to technology. However, let's say these universities specifically are training engineers. Sometimes you don't need engineers. You need people to hang from 78-meter high towers to clean some blades. So the idea is we already have the executive project for this training center within our 10 megawatt facility. We already have the land. We are projecting to start building in 2012, and that would essentially have a regional technician training center capacity, and will be available not only for public institutions like CFE, like the State University, but also, for example, if Mexico Power Group or Sempra, if they want to borrow the site and train their technicians in OSHA regulation, they could do it there. If they want to train their operators in some new software that are coming in, they can train them there. If they need training to work on top of the towers, they can train their technicians there. And this is very, very important because currently, well, for example, you're not going to build a wind farm or a wind turbine on each university, and learning by the books and by videos or whatever is not the same than actually being at the wind farm itself, being at a solar farm and looking at the equipment and working on the equipment. So this will essentially be available late 2012, early 2013 for everyone to look into. And well, finally, thanks again to USAID, thanks again to the Institute of the Americas especially for hosting this, and it's all yours, Jeremy. Thanks.